For the Cats. Denzel Aberdeen runs a point for Kentucky. Cats defense was good against South Carolina. They moved to 17-0 under Popeland, holding the opponent under 68. Meanwhile, Colin Chandler can't connect, but Malachi Moreno is there on the offensive glass.
Well, defensive breakdown for Vanderbilt, leaving a hot shooter open and then not finishing the possession. Nice job by Moreno, knocking him out, down.
Duke Miles back in the starting lineup for Vanderbilt for the first time since January 24th. He wastes no time in impacting this game.
I love the confidence number 2 in Black plays with. He is always a motivator for his team and inspires them on the offensive end.
Here's a look at the starting 5 for Kentucky, including Yelovich, who finds Aberdeen. Back to Chandler in the corner, and he hits his second opportunity. He's one of the best in the league, 46% from deep in SEC play.
Well, that's a short closeout by Miles. You have to know your personnel. Make 5 and white, put the ball on the deck.
The ultra valuable A.K. Okereke gets it back from Nickel. He's working on Yelovich. Okereke with a fadeaway. Good.
He loves that mid-range. He knows how to get to his spot and then fades away to get the space he needs.
He plays fearless. Here's Otega Oweh. Preseason player of the year, 17.5 points per game, better than that in league play. And now Yelovich too strong. Does Kentucky want to live behind the arc against this undersized Vanderbilt team today?
They can, and they're capable of getting hot. You can't dare them to shoot threes or they will beat you from that spot.
Another board for Moreno. Here's Chandler. Chandler was on a tear from deep, but he had a really poor second half in the loss against Auburn last week. He connects on this one. 2 threes in the first 2 minutes for Colin Chandler.
And that starts with the paint touch by Aberdeen, who is growing before our eyes as one of the best point guards in the league.
Stolen away by Oweh. Buckle up. A great burst in the first 2.5 minutes for this much maligned Kentucky team that has lost 3 of its 4 coming into today. Miles may have gotten away with a shuffle. 9 to shoot for Vandy. Okereke, another one.
What a big shot early by Okereke as this crowd was exploding there after the big Oweh dunk. Points off turnovers, a huge stat in this game.
Moreno in the paint. Nearly gave it up. Aberdeen finds a path. Nice shuffle pass, and Yelovich is fouled. Already has a pair of threes from Colin Chandler.
I think Kentucky's got to be pleased with what they've seen on the defensive end. Vanderbilt has made some shots, but they've been pretty tough, contested, and shots that Kentucky will live with.
Here's Tyler Nickel from deep. Former Tar Heel, and hand fighting down low will get Yelovich with his first personal.
That's a nice look for Nickel. Both teams run a similar play where it's a flare screen and then they peel back for their shooter. Nickel unable to get that one to go down, but that's a play you'll probably see later again from Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt shooting 36% from deep on the season. They make 10 threes a game. Miles, quick release on the fadeaway. And knocked out of bounds by Vanderbilt. Above the rim all season.
Yeah, he is a dynamite athlete. And what I love about him is what he's done in the clutch, whether it's steals, shots, you name it. And what Coach Pope told Tom Leach earlier today, he said the best thing about him is he can survive a miss late. A lot of players don't want to take those clutch shots because they can't even fathom having to live with missing the game-winning shot. Chandler does not hesitate. He's willing to live with the results and become one of the most clutch players in the SEC.
Well, he's made some massive plays, including on the road against Tennessee, with a steal and a seal to win that one as Kentucky swept against their northern border rivals. Here's Chandler on kill. A dozen for Chandler. His career high for threes made and a half is 4. That came against Georgia and Florida. Both of those in the second half.
A month ago in Nashville, nothing could go right for the Cats to start that game. And right now, nothing can go wrong thanks to Chandler.
Tanner trying to find something positive for Vandy with the kiss off the glass. You mentioned the game in Nashville. They started 1 for 10, Kentucky did, and just 3 for 20 in that game. It turned into a Commodore blowout. Oweh on the curl. Tanner picked up by Mo Diabate, and now Garrison on the floor as well for the Cats. Miles, no good, and McLaughlin couldn't track it down. You had a long conversation with Mark Pope about Kentucky's substitution patterns, the premier lineups that they have, and he said, listen, this is a very detail-oriented staff. We do a lot of research on this, but it's also very complicated when you try to find out the most efficient five.
Yeah, and it can change game to game because all these SEC teams have different strengths and weaknesses and depends on who's in the game. But one constant has been Diabate coming off the bench. His efficiency throughout the team in the five-man lineups have gone up with 23 and White.
Aberdeen off the window for his first bucket of the game.
I just love the way Aberdeen is playing. So calm, cool, collected. When he plays well and he shoots well, Kentucky wins.
37% from three on the season. He gives them 13 a game. Here's Miles. Miles missed significant time for Vanderbilt, and when he did, the Commodores went to a much bigger lineup. Now, there's not a ton of size on the interior, but they get bigger on the wings. Garrison rips it away, had Johnson, but didn't pull the trigger. Kentucky playing some inspired defense here in the first 9 minutes of this one. Noah into the corner, and Kentucky for the Arkansas Razorbacks. It'll be a fun one tonight in the Swamp.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Darius Acuff against that Florida defense who dares you to make one-on-one plays, and Acuff can make plenty of those.
Vanderbilt shooting 50% in this game, but having a hard time keeping up with this red-hot Kentucky offense.
I'm surprised Tanner's giving it up so quickly when Garrison gets on him. I mean, he's just throwing it away as if he doesn't have a mismatch of his own.
Oweh back on the floor for Kentucky. Let's see if Tyler Tanner, who has 4 of Vandy's 15 attempts here early, starts to take over. Went with the lob and went to the second row of the cheer squad.
Rare turnover for Tanner, who's got a better than 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Thought he had something there that just wasn't.
He's one of the most improved players in the SEC. 18.5 points per game. He was hovering around a half dozen points per game as a freshman last year for Vanderbilt. This is Jasper Johnson, and now Aberdeen. Oweh and Moreno, same side of the floor. 18-footer, no good. Offensive rebound to Johnson's hands, and he finds Aberdeen for 3. Aberdeen's been hot, over 50% over the last 2 games.
Yeah, the best time to get an open 3 is off an offensive rebound. Good job by Johnson being patient, finding his shooter.
Washington working on Moreno. Great defense by the freshman. And stolen away by Oweh. Otega Oweh again. Timeout.
The SEC's most dangerous scorers get those easy buckets. That gets us scored on an offensive rhythm and could lead to tough things for Vanderbilt in the half court.
That'd be a pick 6 on a football field, and Kentucky's already had a couple of those. Miles left his feet, found Washington, and it used every bit of the rim before going in.
But we talked a lot about Kentucky's rotation. Johnson came in the game, and it was an 8-point lead for Kentucky. And so right now he's a +5. That is a good sign to buy extra time, more minutes for some of the starters. You can't just play 5 guys 38+ minutes.
Johnson only played 8 minutes in the South Carolina game, and he was in and out of the Auburn game quickly, but that's what he can do, fill it up from deep.
And the good play started before the 3-point make. That's icing on the cake, but he's been very solid prior to that.
Vanderbilt 8 of 16 from the floor, but Kentucky's shooting 68%. Miles, no. Moreno, physical, knocks the ball loose off of and out of the hands of Jalen Washington. This Kentucky team is playing inspired basketball here at home today. Rebounded by Washington. Tanner had 19 points in the win at Memorial earlier this season. Quick release nickel, no good. And Aberdeen the board.
Better job of making Vanderbilt be one and done. Early on, Kentucky gave up a couple of those offensive rebounds. See, right now, Kentucky, last 2 possessions, a little bit of those my turn shots, and you can't get into that. This is a Kentucky team that's really good efficient-wise in that 10 to 20 seconds on the shot clock. Let your offense work.
Mark Pope was talking about that South Carolina game with Tom Leach, the voice of the Cats, and he said, I feel like there were times we carried some agendas at some point in the game, which will never serve you well. Miles contested 3. And Vanderbilt is complete.
On this hole, you've got to be able to get consecutive stops, not try to shoot your way into it.
Okereke on Garrison. Miles hit his first, but he's been quiet since. That's another air ball, and he has now missed his last 6 attempts.
Credit Oweh, too. It seems like he knows Miles is going to shoot it before Miles does. The last 2 contests Oweh has had have been absolutely perfect, giving Miles no clean look at the rim.
You surprised by this lead?
A little bit, yeah, I am. You knew Kentucky would come out with their hair on fire and be ready to play, try to get that redemption opportunity, a great crowd. But I think Vanderbilt full strength now with Miles back in. A little bit stunned they've been so rusty.
Aberdeen from the lane logo, and Okereke has the rebound. Here's Tanner around the curl, gets stuck in no man's land and finds Bing in the corner.
I will say Vanderbilt has had some clean looks there. Nickel, Bing, they have just not been able to knock any down. 2 of 11 from 3 so far in this one.
Lob to Garrison. And he lost it on his way up. Here comes Duke Miles, 6th year in college basketball. And he gives it up, and a nice finish by A.K. Okereke.
Okereke, really a glue guy for this Vanderbilt team. Does so much on the defensive end, offensively. He can be a primary ball handler for you, whatever you need.
Mouse in the house.
And it's a small layup, but that's a big one for Garrison. He's really struggled around the rim. I think he needed to see one go in, especially down low.
Well, with this lead, Mark Pope has been able to shuffle his rotation a little bit. And the subs are still giving him great breathing room. He said, our bench will play better. Sounded equal parts belief and threat at the same time. When they pressed 94 feet, that was when they were fully healthy in the backcourt. That included Frankie Collins, who hasn't played since mid-December. Now they've been better and more efficient when things have moved at a slower pace, although today has been a bit messy.
Well, and having Miles back in the lineup, they've got 2 fast guards as he gets a bucket there. Whereas when it was just Tanner as a speedy guard, they had to slow it down a little bit. So there is an adjustment period going back to the way they were. But on the road, got to get quality looks like you got right there.
Vanderbilt got off to a fantastic start this season, but over the last 12, they played 500 basketball. Oweh may have turned his ankle as he went down. He reaching for his left heel as he got to his feet. 6 to shoot. Yelovich isn't aware of the shot clock. Chandler. Glance at the shot clock, off balance 15-footer, and here's Miles. See what kind of run Vandy has. What a beautiful feed from Miles, and nice positioning by Jalen Washington's got a half dozen.
You called it. Miles knew that was going to be open before the opening was even there. A great read and set play by Coach Byington.
Kentucky had a 20-point lead at 42-22. Previous largest lead in a conference game this season was just 11. That came against Oklahoma. Oweh challenged 3.
Yeah, that's the wrong guy to try to shoot over the top of. When you got that length on you, try to drive Okereke, but 10 can contest and he can move his feet.
Miles gets the whistle on Garrison. Lee High School and Percy Julian High School in Montgomery, Alabama. He played at Troy and then High Point and then Oklahoma. And he was committed to 3 different teams when he was in the portal. First Virginia, then Texas A&M, and finally ends up at Vanderbilt. What a whirlwind offseason it was for Miles.
He was like a bachelor of the transfer portal. He was just giving roses out, taking them away. You know, but at High Point, he was a key feature. I think that was a big part of it. Was like, hey, he knew that he could play in a certain role, but he also had the confidence to bet on himself, say, hey, look, I can be a lead scoring guard, and he's found a home here at Vanderbilt.
18 points a game at High Point. And Vandy on a 7-0 run over the last 3 minutes. Aberdeen to Moreno to Chandler. Great ball movement, and Chandler for three again. And a glance back at the Vanderbilt bench after that one. Not afraid to talk a little trash. It's a 15-point first half for Chandler. And Moreno rips it off the rim. And Chandler draws.
Fakes the defender who was closing out with the undisciplined footwork and gets another open look. But a lot of that's on Vanderbilt. You just got to see man and ball and understand where the red-hot shooter is.
What a half for Chandler. We had that Auburn game where he turned it over 5 times in the second half. Moreno gets whistled for the illegal screen, his first. And it's a nice bounce-back game for Chandler. Utah Gatorade Player of the Year in 23, coming out of high school, then 2 years on an LDS mission. We're putting a uniform back on last season for Kentucky. Miles tried to thread the needle again, and the ball trickles over the end. We're at the Bath County Meat Showers, 5 for 7 from behind the arc. What a start to this game for Chandler. Well, he loses Nickel on the screen, and announcer Jinx gets him. Tyler Nickel's first bucket comes from point-blank range.
Yeah, confusion there as Nickel just came around that double screen. This is a Vanderbilt team that does have some spurt ability. They're top 25 in the country at 10-0 runs. They've had 24 on the season. They could certainly use one here.
Got off to a 16-0 start this season. One of the best starts in school history. Chandler gets tied up off of the knee of McLaughlin and out of bounds. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Let's see what they have drawn up. Vandy worked on this a lot in shoot-around last night. Olway collects the lob and is able to finish.
Well, good set play there by Kentucky, and good find. You always want one of your best passers to take the ball out. They found Olway there.
Tyler Tanner is Vanderbilt's leading scorer. He has 6 points and hasn't made a 3 so far.
We'll take a look at that baseline out of bounds play by Coach Pope, and kind of a slow developing play, but instead of Olway popping out to the perimeter, he comes right back into the paint with a nice lob. Wanted the and one, and they found a way to get him easy buckets, whether it's that off of turnovers, something he did not have on the road at South Carolina.
Tanner picked up by Moreno. Attacks the big and gives it out to Nickel. In and out for Nickel. Yelovich the board.
I think Tanner can shoot some of those. He's gotten the 5-man on him several times in this game, and just I think he's bailing out the defender. I want to see him keep the ball in his hands and shoot that mid-range.
Well, he's so good at the rim, but his efficiency drops by about 25 percentage points from the rim to 4 to 8 feet. Chandler on Okereke. 6 on the shot clock. Here's Aberdeen. He's thrown in a couple of late shot clock threes already. Moreno had the hand on the rebound. It will go out of bounds and stay with Kentucky.
Well, one of the adjustments you see from Vanderbilt to start this second half is number 10 in black, Okereke, is going to have the assignment. He can switch on Chandler or Olway, and so there's times where he's on Olway, and then they'll also say, hey, we can switch this on the guard side to make sure you always have length on Chandler.
Olway. And McLaughlin finally collects this one. Vandy trails by 15, looking for a surge. It's Duke Miles for 3.
Yeah, you can't just let them walk right into it. In the first half, they contested threes really well, did Kentucky, and that one, Miles saw a clean rim and made them pay.
Vandy picking up full court pressure now. Tanner on Aberdeen. Oweh lost it across the baseline, and the window is open for Vanderbilt.
He's going to have to jab baseline and come back middle. Teams are sitting on that baseline drive of his. When he gets it in the corner, he's going hard right or hard left, depending on which side, and he's had a few turnovers.
Lead hasn't been down to single digits since the 13:06 mark of the first half.
Boy, that would have been a big one.
Yep. It's back when it was 24-16. Aberdeen got by Okereke, got the whistle, and Aberdeen knocks down a pair. Well, they're physical. Hard screen that time. Noah fought through it, and he fights through to pick up Nickel. Here's McLaughlin. Handoff Nickel. Corner three. Back iron. And rebounded by Noah.
You wouldn't know it based on how he shot tonight, but Nickel, one of the premier three-point shooters, and if Vanderbilt is going to be able to steal one, he's got to get hot.
Yeah, but he is
Player from East Rockingham High School to go D1, making him proud. He's got to have a short memory, though. You got to have amnesia right now as a shooter.
stolen away by Yelovich. And then Tanner rips it right back.
Well, he just did a little dribble drill on that, too. He just tapped it away, kept that dribble low, gets it right back. Tanner so quick.
Miles hesitated, coming around the curl to McLaughlin for three. He can shoot it from there, but he's missed his last couple. And Vanderbilt as a team is just 3 for 16 from behind the arc. And McLaughlin trying to fight around the post up. Success, 9 for 17 from three for the Cats. Miles chasing Chandler now. Aberdeen for three. Got it.
And Coach Byington said that's what you can't let Aberdeen do, is let him just walk into threes and go under ball screens. You got to extend up if you're going to switch.
Leads back to 19. What a turnaround from Vandy's dismantling of Kentucky and Memorial last month. And now Okereke with a triple. He's made 6 of his last 9 from three. Moreno loses it. Another rip for Tyler Tanner, who's 9th in the country in steals. And Nichols' 12-footer goes home.
Yeah, see if that can get him going, but Kentucky inconsistent taking care of the ball, especially their 5 men. They've got to be able to handle the ball and value it because so much offense runs through the 5 men at the top of the key. Just him as a ball handler, but him as a scorer, so you can't relax. Even though he's not the primary scorer on the team, and you got to worry about Chandler, Oweh, you got to treat him with a sense of urgency.
Won a national title with Todd Golden last year as a 6th man on that Florida team. And to Dane's point earlier in the broadcast, he came here as a 2-guard and then was a hybrid for a little while before the injury to Jalen Lowe finally took him out. Chandler again. It's Colin Chandler Day in the Bluegrass.
And such a good read. The defender was expecting Chandler to come off the ball screen, and he just stops right behind it and says, I'm wide open. I can shoot it from NBA range.
He's tied his career high now with 18. Okereke shuffled his feet.
They even tried to foul him. They didn't even call it.
Really?
Yeah.
How are your vocal cords after that? Your
They're
left
terrible.
or right?
I was trying to call like play 5. I was like, 5, 5.
Little
Back of the
shot.
choir, is that what you said?
Yeah, change rows. Tanner into double figures now with 10. Johnson picked up by Tanner. Moreno pulling a Barkley. Diabate on the glass and foul. Cats by 21 Biggins. Here's Bing. Miles gives it up to Nickel. Out to Chandler Bing. He has never seen friends. Back to Bing, and Miss Chandler Bong with the jam.
Well, they've got about 4 ball reversals. Good patience by Vanderbilt, even though you're down, trusting your offense. This Kentucky team has been really good in their half-court defense. Vanderbilt gets one there, though.
Did you ever watch Friends?
No, I really didn't. I wish I could play along a little bit better, but
Well,
it's all you.
Moreno lost it, and Tanner ends up on his back.
I was too busy watching mature shows like South Park and Family Guy.
That's where your sense of humor comes from. That's why we get along so well. So Kentucky turnover. Cats up 19. Be a tough closing stretch for Vandy, living on the road and out of suitcases until they get to Nashville for the SEC tournament. Jalen Washington with the lob. Done.
There's got to be some backside help there by Kentucky. A good job just by Vanderbilt getting 2 people to guard the ball. Nobody had the rim protection.
Here's Jasper Johnson. What a year it's been for Denzel Aberdeen. Frustrated early, settled into the role as a point guard coming off of a national championship season. And he's really produced lately. Owe goes one-on-one with a turnaround.
Well, it sure does help when you can have a guy that you can just get the ball to and say, everybody clear out, let him make a play.
Everybody in the building saw a walk. Tyler Tanner saw an opportunity. Now he's got a dozen. Diabate not picked up, and Tanner with the foul. So here's the full court pressure for Vandy, trapping for the first time. Kentucky solves it easily. Diabate! And it takes a victory lap before falling. First field goal today for Diabate. Washington all alone.
Well, this is a really good Vanderbilt offense that has looked flustered at times with Kentucky's half-court defense, but they run so much good misdirection, ball screen action, ways they get into the screen, and you can see the result there. Oftentimes teams get confused and end up with 2 guys on the ball, leaving somebody wide open.
Nice. Could have been double figures. Previous long run before Owes, and that came to an end against the Gamecocks. 16-point lead, 7:20 to play.
Now we're talking about Vanderbilt needing to get a stop, but Kentucky could have this thing 20 plus if they could get one as well.
Tanner cut off. Harris and Nickel is on the glass. Nothing there.
Yeah. Been one of those nights for Nickel. Oh, that's tough.
And Aberdeen finishing.
He keeps the defender in jail, keeps him on his back, then navigates the big, and then just does a low crossover, get all the way to the rim.
So which would be worse if you were Tyler Nickel and you just 1 for 8 from deep or getting dunked on by Candace Parker?
Boy. And I'm like, no, you got the wrong guy. They're like, no, you're just trying to hide it. But
this day and age, somebody would have had a cell phone out. You would have been either proven right or wrong. A strong move by Otega Owe. He's got 16.
Right. Kentucky's ability to respond anytime Vanderbilt throws a punch and be able to play with this lead and sustain this energy, especially offensively.
Moreno tips it to Owe. Takes out some bowling pins, a.k.a. photogs, and now a hard screen at the top frees Owe.
Huge screen by Diabate, who sat in there and took it.
On their feet at Rupp Arena. Chandler trying to muscle Bing and commits the foul. Rocky Top a week from today. Washington point blank. He's had a big second half. 10 of his 16 have come since the break.
And that was their ram screen action. We asked Coach Byington about it. He goes, yeah, I originally got that from Anthony Grant when he was at VCU. That's why they call it ram.
It took him a second. He's like, where did I steal that from? Oh, yeah, Anthony Grant.
You screen the guy coming to set the ball screen gives you space, and sometimes they do the Spain action where it's a back screen after that. So all the terminology. Emptying the bucket here late.
Shot clock buzzer beater off the rim. Washington the rebound. Kentucky came into today having lost 3 of 4. The Cats get a much needed home victory and go to 14-3 in